Okay, so we'll get started, I guess. I always start it off with the weather challenge. You got 55 minutes to forecast. If you haven't forecasted, um, we're doing okay as a school, I think. Let's just look. Let's just look. Why not? The Chrome tab. Here we go. Oh, look. Okay, so I don't know if the actual results will show up yet. No, they don't. Okay. Like some maybe go down here. Does these show up? No. Okay. Well, they're still fixing out a lot of things. Okay, six. We'll go to Western. Overall, we're not doing terrible. Um, not doing too bad really. We've got three people above consensus, which is pretty good. Then everybody else is working their way back up. A lot of movement today. But I expect that this everything's going to change again because it's getting cold there and it's getting cold there fast. Um, it just dropped 4 degrees within an hour, or 3 degrees within an hour. So it's moving pretty fast. So that's it for the weather challenge. As far as everything else,
One thing I
um,
will note about the weather challenge with Grand Rapids, I don't know if I'm sure you guys probably know it. I'm preaching to the choir, but if you have a west wind at Grand Rapids, it'll actually warm the temperature up a little bit because this time of year the lake water is warmer than the ambient temperature. I don't know. I'm sure you guys knew that, but I know I see a lot. I've seen a lot of people on. I'm like on American weather forums and stuff, and people do the weather challenge there, and they like mess that up a lot. A lot. They think it makes the temperature colder, and it's like I think it's the opposite. I think it actually makes it warmer when you're on the Milwaukee side and you get an east wind. It makes it colder. I think
yeah,
I
I
could have that.
think
I could have that wrong, but I think I remember Dr. Bucher saying something about that. So
I think you're right. I think you're right, and I think honestly, like I don't. Most of the models that I've seen lately all underperform besides the USL. Like the USL has been pretty good with that, and we've been having westerly winds. And the USL is always higher than everything else, even higher than National Weather Service. The Weather Service has been not too great with temperatures there. They've been pretty good with precip, but not with temperatures.
yeah, I didn't do
Um,
the weather challenge this year or this semester. I did it last, I think, but I didn't do it this one. So
yeah, with the new website, it's kind of neat with the new website. Things are a little different. Um, and whatnot. So, the next thing I want to talk about is shirts. We are doing shirts. If you haven't paid and you want to pay, you can actually Venmo me. If you want to Venmo, you can either do PayPal or Venmo. You can Venmo me and then I'll write a check, or you can do PayPal. Um, and then if you want to pay, here's my Venmo should just be my name, I think. Let me look.
how's
Um,
cash?
I'll take cash too.
Yeah,
Okay, so
it'll probably be the weekend or early next week because I'd have to go to the bank, so I don't usually carry cash on me.
oh, that's
But
fine.
and I don't think I have a PayPal account, but it's so old that I don't even know if it's I don't even know. I haven't used it in like years, so I don't know.
Yeah, oh, that's fine.
What is it like
Uh,
$20?
yeah, it's $20 unless you get like a 2x or bigger.
Oh, yeah.
And then if you do that, it's an extra dollar for every X.
When do you want the payments by?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask.
That's a good question. We want the. I went and met with him today, and we want to have these shirts out before Thanksgiving because we're not coming back, obviously.
Right.
Um, so we really would. I would like to have them ordered by the end of the month. So if we could have the money by uh, we'll say the 28th at the latest, because by that
Okay.
point we have most of it, and then I can go
So
ahead and confirm it.
So we're not meeting at all after Thanksgiving. No to other club meetings or anything like that. Or?
We can, but as far as school goes, no one. I mean, everything goes online.
Hmm.
So, I mean, we can still. I still have meetings. I'll still be up here, so I don't really care. It doesn't matter to me.
Yeah, I'll be
But-
here too.
So I mean, we can still have meetings. We can do. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I know that we can't really meet in person as a club because then I have to fill out a bunch of paperwork and submit it into the OSA.
I think
For
we can just make
contact.
a poll in either next week's email or sometime soon. We just make a poll saying, do we want to meet after break or do we just want to wait till the next semester?
Yeah, because if we're gonna meet, if we're not gonna meet after break, then we got to start thinking about elections coming up.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Had 4 meetings and the semester's almost over.
Yeah, I know. It's weird. It's really weird. But yeah, I mean, if because we'll have elections, because I mean, I'll step down as president. I mean, I don't really want to keep the position if I mean I'm going to be graduating, so I'll be here, but I don't really want the position, so somebody else can have it. Um, so I mean that'll be open, and everything else pretty much opens up. Whoever wants it and whatnot. So yeah, we'll decide that. Hmm?
I'm a little concerned about the election positions for next semester, considering the turnout we have this semester and the people that are going to be graduating. I don't know who all's. I mean, I know I won't be a student in the spring. I know you won't, Anthony, and I don't know about anybody. I don't know about anybody else.
Yeah, so. I think I'm the only one graduating until the. I don't know, because Ian, you're still a junior, aren't you?
Yeah, I'll be here at least 2 more semesters.
Yeah,
I know there are a couple other active club members that won't be graduating in the very short term.
Yeah.
And I know
I knew I was
kind of bad because of COVID times. It's just hard for people, but I
Uh-huh.
wouldn't worry about that too much.
No, I mean I think most of the people we have aren't going to graduate for until next, not spring 21, but spring 22.
Okay.
Because I know there's a huge break in between the graduating class of 19, which was Luke and Molly and them, to me, because I'm going to graduate this December because I was the only one in that. Yeah, because I stuck with it. And everybody else either left or did something else. And then I know there's a huge break after me as far as who else is going to be.
Yeah, I know in the spring, for the fall, last fall's commencement and the spring commencement, there was no meteorology graduates at all. I know in the spring for sure. The only one I seen on there, I know it's not right. It says Matthew English, but he graduated with Molly and Luke, and why his name got put on there again.
I actually asked about that, and Bucher said that because he needed one class or something, and so they just let him walk in the spring, and then he finally finished.
So he didn't actually technically graduate.
I don't think so, but I think they let him walk, but I think he needed one class, or he needed something to where he could finish it up. It wasn't anything major, so they just said it's okay.
Gotcha. Yeah, it wasn't. I just seen that in the commencement thing, and I was I thought he graduated last year.
That's what I said too. That's what I was like, this doesn't seem right. But then I asked Bucher, and Bucher said, "Oh, well, I think this happened." And I was like, "Oh, okay, that makes sense. That makes sense." And so yeah, we'll get election. Yeah, that's coming up because that's about a month away. And we'll have to be thinking about elections no matter what by the end of the month, even if we are staying for come back, because then we'll only have probably 2 meetings after Thanksgiving if we decide to do it. Yeah, I think so. Yeah. And then in the spring, we'll have more time because there is no spring break. So, well, I mean, we'll have another meeting there, but the week's shortened, or the semester shortened by a week, technically because of the spring break, but it's still the same thing. That makes sense.
Yeah.
And whatnot. So, that's all I've got. And Ethan, if you want to show a few things about the hurricane. think you're muted, buddy.
Oh, sorry. I said let me pull some things up here, and then I'll switch over to my screen.
Sounds good.
I just don't want to have to open a bunch of like windows that. Well,
I understand that. You should see all the ones I have open.
I've got tabs from yesterday open and the day before, and I'm just like, I just don't want to start any window. So, analysis tools here, evolution analysis. Okay. And I actually haven't looked at pivotal weather, so
I haven't either. I didn't even open it. I was looking at.
I heard the global models weren't doing very well with the hurricane. It's been the mesoscale models, so I haven't looked at much, but I'm gonna look at the NAM real quick just for. Of course, it's not gonna show me on here, but I was gonna try to see what the 300 millibar shear was like when it got closer to the coast, but.
I gotcha.
Okay. That's interesting. Alrighty. Anyway, okay, I'll present now, I guess. Window. Select window. See the entire screen. Wow. Oh, is it? Can everybody see the screen or?
Yeah.
Is it? I'm not sure how this works. Is it on the Hurricane Center page right now for everybody, or?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Alrighty, so we've got Hurricane Delta, which made landfall last night, surprisingly weak, considering what it was expected to be on the near whatever city that is in Mexico, Cancun, Mexico. It made landfall. It's 105 mile an hour. It was at 5 a.m. this morning. It had dramatically weakened from it was offshore. I think last night it was at 145 mile per hour. And it dramatically weakened. They said in the discussion that the entire inner eye wall dissolved prior to landfall, so it kind of underwent some major structural changes. Anyway, it's crossed the peninsula. There was quite a bit of wind damage, but I don't think the damage was overall that bad compared to what it could have been. And now it's Category 1, 85 mile per hour wind, so it's a lot weaker than what they had anticipated. And the latest discussion has it getting to the coast as Category 2, 105, which seems reasonable given some of the conditions that it will be encountering. They do have it getting back up to a Cat 3 prior to landfall, so it is not out of the realm of the possibility that it'll be at that strength at landfall. But I think it'll be a little weaker because if we go to the ocean temperatures. So it's sitting right about here right now where it's 28 degrees Celsius, which isn't too shabby, but the track's got it curving up through the central Gulf, and then it gets up through these 27, 26, 25, there's even some 24s at the coast. So my thinking is that once it gets up close to the Louisiana coast, it's going to make landfall pretty much the same area that Laura did. So my thinking is once it gets up here, it's probably going to dramatically weaken, and that I'm not going to say that 105 mile an hour might be generous, but we'll just have to see what it does over the next day or two. I definitely think it has potential to be similar to Sally, Cat 2. But then if I go over here, this is the sea surface temperature anomaly that's deficit based on climatology, and most of the Gulf is below normal because there's been so many systems. I think this will be the fourth hurricane in the Gulf and the fifth to make landfall in the U.S. just this year. So it's been an active season. And then this is the current satellite. It's not very well organized. The mountainous terrain of northeast Yucatan Peninsula has tore it apart pretty well, but it should reorganize later tonight and eventually into tomorrow. And most of the models, right now it's actually at 75 knots. I don't know why this has 80. I think because they just did an update. But most models have it getting at least to Cat 2, Cat 3, and there's a couple that have it reorganizing to a Cat 4. Again, I don't really see it getting that strong. I mean, the NAM's got it 978 on Friday afternoon, making landfall in Southwest Louisiana. I don't see upper level shear being a big problem. I mean, we've got 5 knots in the vicinity of it, 15 knots. I mean, it's not nothing huge, but yeah, that's as far as the hurricane goes. I mean, I think that's about all I really got. I mean, the models are pretty well clustered. I mean, almost every model's got it making landfall pretty much right where Laura did, just south of Lake Charles, and so.
Can I ask what upper level shear will do to the hurricane?
Well, the 200 millibar shear, hurricanes are vertically stacked, so it tends to make them want to go towards more extratropical, and it tends to tilt the convection over. So if you have like strong 200, 300 millibar shear, it'll tilt because the thunderstorms in a hurricane are so tall, they're much taller than a supercell. You've got I think yesterday I seen with Delta, the temperatures on the satellite were almost negative 100 Celsius, which is just ridiculous for a thunderstorm. So you're looking at 60, 70,000 foot tops. So it's 200, 300 millibar shear is going to just blow those anvils over, and it just messes with the this organization of the core and everything, especially the eye wall. It'll tear it apart. But smaller cyclones tend to they can be in the vicinity of really strong shear, and it won't affect them like larger cyclones, because larger cyclones there's more area to tear apart. Whereas you get a small storm yesterday, for example, if you looked at the satellite yesterday, which I don't have a satellite loop to post on here, but you could see it was in the vicinity of some really strong westerly shear. But the storm was so small and compact, it was fighting it off. And I think that shear is what caused the eye wall to dissolve before landfall. So it didn't make landfall as a 4, and it was just a 2 instead. But that's my best answer as to what I think. I'm sure there's other people's got different opinions, and so it's kind of like that question on why do tornadoes form. Nobody knows for really exactly why. So.
For sure. Yeah, no, thank you.
But yeah, I think that's about all I got. I mean, I know it's kind of underwhelming, but I haven't been. I'm gonna stop presenting now. But I just haven't been paying a whole lot of attention until the last couple of days, until it really got organized. And to be honest, it hasn't really looked super impressive on satellite. Even for a Cat 4 yesterday, it was just real muddled, and I couldn't see an eye. I think there was maybe an hour yesterday afternoon where I saw a little pinhole eye. And the hurricane hunter said it was 4 miles wide. So it's no surprise that it collapsed especially if it was undergoing westerly shear. There's no surprise a small eye like that would collapse. I mean, that's such a small feature. So yeah. I did read in the discussion it's supposed to expand in size and organization tomorrow and into Friday. So perhaps that'll make it maintain intensity as it gets closer to land. But like I said, my main concern is those really low sea surface temperatures up by Louisiana. I mean, 24, 25 Celsius this time of year is not going to cut the mustard for a strong hurricane, but it is moving at 15 knots, so perhaps that will offset it. Who knows? I had the rest of the week free. Was going to go down there, but I don't think I'm going to. It's also going to be look like it's going to be in that similar area to Laura, so it's not really chaser friendly. It's a lot of swamp.
So what is the temperature threshold? Is it 24.6?
I don't think there's any actual temperature threshold for a major hurricane. I think it just depends on a number of environmental factors. I mean, there's been ones in the northern Atlantic up by I don't think Greenland, but up by Nova Scotia that have been Cat 3, and they've been in 20 degrees Celsius waters. So I think actually in those scenarios, those storms were probably partially extratropical, and then they had tropical characteristics. And the Hurricane Center is just, I know Teddy, for example, it was a Cat 3 up there, and they mentioned in the discussion that it had features of both extratropical and tropical, and they said that shear was actually helping to maintain its intensity. So I don't know if there's like an actual threshold. I know typically you want at least 28 to 30. That's a really good water to get a strong hurricane. I know 26 is pretty marginal, and 24 is definitely low. So I'm not sure why the cooler water is stuck around the coast so long since Sally, and since Sally was almost a month ago and Laura was a month and a half ago. I don't know why it's so. I'm assuming the cold fronts that we've been getting repeatedly have probably not helped. So I know some people on the forums said that some of the, I haven't checked, but some of the buoys offshore Louisiana were showing water temperatures only in the 70s, which is pretty cool, especially even for this time of year. This is actually, I think early October is actually typically when the Gulf's the warmest, because you get a delayed, typically the warmest time of the year, then the water temperature is delayed like a month and a half because solar heating. It's like the whole daytime temperature thing with, solar noon and then the max temperature being delayed. It's a similar thing. But so it's kind of unusual. I think could also be partially because if you look at the water in the Pacific, could also be partially we're transitioning towards the La Nina. So that could also be partially a reason why. So, but it's just amazing, especially even with marginal sea surface temperatures, that the hurricane season keeps going. I mean, we're 4 storms into the Greek alphabet, and I think Epsilon was the furthest we got in 2005. So we get 2 more storms, we'll reach that point. I kind of want to see that. But so. But I kind of want to see us get to Hurricane Pi, but I don't think that's going to happen. That's like I have to get like another 12 storms for that.
Hurricane Pi, can you imagine?
Hurricane Pi, yeah, Hurricane Pi. So I wonder what happens if Delta hits and God forbid it doesn't happen, but it hits Louisiana and kills a bunch of people, and they have to retire it. What do they do the next time they get to the Greek alphabet?
So I actually looked up into that, and they don't actually retire the letter. They just retire it as like Delta 2020.
Oh, so it would be like next year would be like Delta 2024 or whatever,
Yes.
Or 2027, whenever the next. That's interesting. I've always wondered that. I don't think there's ever been actually a Greek hurricane that's ever actually made landfall. So.
Yeah, I don't know. But I did look into that, and yeah, they said that it would just get retired as either as Delta itself, but more than likely it'll just get the Greek letter will not get retired no matter what, but it'll just get retired as Delta 2020 or there was something else they said, but the most logical one would be Delta 2020.
Yeah, I know there was a couple back in the early 1900s which of course they didn't really name them back then, but they post-operatively named them, and some of them got this, I think there was one season 1923 where there was 2 hurricanes with the same name. They just named it was I think it was Hurricane Audrey or something, and they named it Audrey and Audrey 1 and Audrey 2. Not sure why they did that, but
Audrey 1 and Audrey 2.
I don't even remember I was looking at it last night, and it was just weird. They just named it number 1 and number 2. I don't know why they didn't pick a different name, or if they just ran out of names, and I looked at that particular season, and there was only 8 storms that season, so it's not like they ran out of alphabet.
Yeah.
It could have been just different criteria back then. But so
I'm trying to find that image. I know what's his name tweeted it out today that I saw, and I saw it somewhere else. Victor, what's his last name? Gensini?
Victor Gensini, yeah.
Yeah, he tweeted it out, something about it today. Or the Weather Service tweeted, the actual National Weather Service account tweeted out this yesterday. I'll share my screen. Chrome tab. I want this.
Yeah, I was really expecting to see a lot more, damage in Mexico than what happened. I'm just kind of flabbergasted that it just lost so much intensity so fast.
I know. I woke up and I saw that and I was like, wow.
I mean, it went up. Yeah, it went up 24 hours. Went up from like I think it was like 60 knots to like 100 and it raised like 70 knots within 24 hours. They said it was the second. I think the second highest rate of intensification since 2005. So and then it just like that, it went just when it hit land. It I guess the small size of it, maybe I don't know, but
Yeah.
anyhow.
Yeah, that's the best guess I would have too. But yeah, like according to this, it would just be retired as Delta 2020, and that would be a Delta would come back.
Okay, so we've only got one more storm left to get to Epsilon. So
Yeah, the next storm is Epsilon.
it's possible. And then there's Zeta, Eta, Theta, Iota, Kappa, and some of these I don't even know how to pronounce.
You got Eta, Theta, Iota, Kappa, Lambda, Mu, Nu, Chi, Omicron, Pi, Rho, Sigma, Tau, Epsilon, Phi, Chi, Psi. But yeah, it looks like here, this asterisk on Zeta, and at the bottom, if you read this, Zeta is the furthest into the Greek alphabet the Atlantic season has gone.
Okay, so yeah, I was wrong. It was one more. It was Zeta. Huh. Yeah, if I remember right, 2005, it actually went into Zeta actually went into 2006. It formed in like 3 days after Christmas, and it dissipated like right after New Year. It was
Okay,
like,
yeah,
way out in the Atlantic. It was a tropical storm. So,
I kind of remember that. I would have been 8, but I remember hearing about that going into the new year. Okay, well,
I don't see this season going that late with us transitioning towards La Nina.
yeah,
I don't remember what the Enzo conditions were that year. I think it was stable through most of 2005 into 2000. I think 2006. I know for sure 2006 we were in an El Nino because that was a big year for Illinois tornadoes. And then 2005 we had a really bad drought. But I'm pretty sure it was El Nino, and La Nina typically is not very favorable for hurricane seasons because of the cooler waters. It's El Nino that you want. So I don't imagine next year will be too terribly active for hurricanes, unless something changes. I know a couple of years ago they were forecasting a La Nina, and we ended up with an El Nino. So, but
well, see, that's all I have. I know next week, the other Anthony, I don't remember his last name, Tenerella, he wants to present on Hurricane Dorian, and so he will present next week on Hurricane Dorian. And
who's that?
there's one of those I think he's a freshman.
Okay.
He emailed me wanting to present on Hurricane Dorian. I said, heck yeah, come on in, let's do it. So yeah, that's basically all I have. Like I said, if you want to pay for shirts, as long as you don't get a 2X or bigger, it's $20, and then 2X is 21, and 3X is 30 or 20. Let me just make sure with that. Yeah, 3X would be 22. And whatnot. So yeah, if you want to pay, you can go ahead and pay. If you want PayPal, just let me know and I'll send you the PayPal. I think the PayPal ours is actually, I'll type it in here. PayPal should be us for the PayPal.
Gotcha.
So actually, I'll just retype these kind of to where, because I'll get a log. Venmo, if you want a Venmo, it's me. And then I can just write a check, like I said. So that's Venmo, and then PayPal is.
Is your Venmo connected up to your Facebook? Because I know you.
I think so.
I know you can send money in Messenger. So.
I think so. I think it's connected to my Facebook. It should be because I have it's like my profile picture and everything else. So
I'm gonna have to look into that. If I can do that, I'll Venmo you the money. But my bank is a pain in the ass with as far as connecting stuff up with like PayPal accounts and stuff because I've got to actually like call them. Like I can get the routing number, but it's weird because like they have to actually like authorize it beforehand. So it's find a new bank.
Banks don't like mine's the same way. Banks don't like PayPal.
Or I'll
I've
get a
actually got hacked from PayPal.
Or I'll get
before.
a call like the next day after I PayPal something, and it'll be like, "So did you PayPal this?" And then they'll start asking questions. Like one time when we went out, Colby and I went out to Wyoming, you tried to use my debit card out there, and like it got denied, and I called the bank, and they're like, "Somebody stole your debit card, and they're in Wyoming." I'm like, "I drove to Wyoming." I'm like,
I'm in Wyoming.
you was in Illinois the day before, and then I was in Wyoming, and then they tried telling me it got stolen. It was fraudulent. And I'm like, no, I'm like, I drove overnight. I'm like, why would you shut somebody's debit card? So I had to wait like an hour at a gas station for them to turn my card back on.
An hour? Took an hour?
It took them an hour because they had to call the main branch because they reported it as a stolen card. So, yeah, it was.
I had that happen to me in Atlanta. I was in Atlanta. I bought something, and they said, "No." I was like, "So they're like, no." I was like, "No, it's me. I bought it." And they're like, "Oh, okay." So every time before I leave, I'm like, "Hey, I'm going here on this date. It's me using my card." And then if I don't do that, it'll get shut. I've told them that, and it still got shut off before. So now I just use my credit card wherever I go. Like I'm not even gonna worry about it. I'm just gonna put everything in my credit card.
Yeah, it's. I seen on the GFS. I need to look at it some more. There might have been possibly a setup in like Kansas next week, but I seen Aaron Rigsby posted something about it last night on Facebook.
Yeah, I saw people talking about that.
But I haven't looked at like I've looked at like I think I looked at the 500 millibar chart and that's it. I didn't even look at their cape or anything.
I didn't either. I saw that the dues were in the lower 60s, but other than that, I haven't really seen anything else. I haven't looked. I just saw people talking about it on Twitter.
There hasn't been a setup in like months, so
I know it's been weird. It's been really weird. Yeah, the last setup, aside that's not hurricane related, is I don't
probably
know.
the Duray show.
Probably, yeah.
That's been 2 months ago as of Friday or Saturday. So
That's yeah. God. What a year! What a year! All right, well, that's all I have. Anybody else have anything else? Say. No. Ian, I guess if you want, Ian, Brandon, whoever else, we could all stay in here and see if anybody joins and they want tutoring help. But I think at this point, I don't think anyone else is going to join.
Yeah, I think if anyone wants to stay around for tutoring, I'd be willing to do that till 7. But if no one has anything, I think we'd probably call it here.
yeah, I forgot you guys were doing that. And I don't know. I'm just kind of disappointed the amount of people. They're just like we had like 8 at the start of the semester. Now we're down to like 4 or 5. Well, 5 counting Maine, but it's I guess it's everybody's got stuff going on with COVID. It's probably people probably forget about it. I'm sure. So,
Since it's not in person, it's just easier to forget. But all right, that's where I will call it quits, and I will see you all next week.
Alrighty.
See you guys.
See ya.
Yep. Bye, Ian.
Hi, Anthony.